My name is Wayne Guidry. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Finance here at Longview ISD. And today we'll be discussing part 2 of our 3-part series concerning our bond election. And today, in part 2, we're going to be discussing Proposition B. And with me today, I have our Athletic Director, John King, and our Band Director, Rhonda Daniels. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for taking time to visit with me today. You know, one thing, I don't know if we take it for granted, but we're very fortunate in Longview ISD, not just to have a great football team, but we've got a great band and a great athletic department, great football team. I mean, just so much success in extracurricular activities that we do here on this campus. And it goes beyond. I could go on all day, the different activities that we do, UIL, that we're so successful. To me, extracurricular activities, and this, before we get to the bond, I just want to address just a personal point about extracurricular activities. One, because it's so near and dear to me. I was in band, had a great band director, was in athletics, had a great coach, and really extracurricular activities changed the course of my life. Growing up in generational poverty, it was just some great educators, coaches and band directors that helped give me some different skills and take me to the next level. They just changed the course of not just my life, but my children's life. And, it just frustrates me. So often we hear that that we're wasting money on extracurricular activities. But there's so much our students are learning, with UIL, when a lot of, at 4 o'clock that bell rings and the majority of kids hop on that bus and go home. But kids that are involved in extracurricular activities, for one, they're learning commitment. Because instead of hopping on the bus and, mom and dad's car, they're staying after to learn new skills, just all types of different things. So I'm just going to hand it over to y'all. I mean, any thoughts on that? I mean, you are the ones that are living it every day with our students.
Activities in Longview ISD is an investment. It's an investment of your time. It's an investment of the district in terms of money. This is a community school. It's a large high school, but there is so much community involvement from the players to the band. There's all kinds of pride that we have in Lobo Nation. I mean, 73-year streak with our band, the success of all of our athletic programs. So this thing is entrenched in this community very deeply. And extracurricular activities, as you mentioned, it helps develop kids. I think it's co-curricular. I don't think it's just extracurricular.
Absolutely.
The things you learn in the classroom, you take to your extracurricular activity and you put it into place. Things of like commitment, time management, discipline, something bigger than yourself. All those things come into play. And, for a lot of our kids, I think the extracurricular activities we offer are motivation to come to school, motivation to pass your classes. I know from an athletic standpoint that the discipline referrals are fewer, the attendance rate is better, the test scores are better for those involved in extracurricular activities, as well as their GPA, and it gives them motivation to be able to go to school, understand they're here to get an education, and earn. It's a privilege to be able to play. It's not a right; it's a privilege. You've got to do things to be a part of all of our extracurricular activities, and but that's what it teaches them. And it's never going to be easy. I know the band's out there marching in the heat just like football teams practicing. There's tough times and there's great times. But extracurricular activities are important to Longview ISD.
I think I'm kind of like you guys. I don't know what would happen with the course of my life if it had not been for extracurricular activities and band. I knew early on this is what I wanted to do. And, I know that every student that we teach is not going to go out into the field of music, but we hope that when we send them out into the world, that they take the tools that they've learned in our programs on into life, and just perseverance and how to deal with adversity. And like Coach King said, we are out there in the heat and working hard and to try to, achieve a common goal. And we want them to take that throughout their life.
My personal kids have always participated in athletics and extracurricular activities that, this is a game we play. These are competitions we go to. But really, what we're trying to teach you is just life lessons, because one day when you're a dad, you're going to have some bad days, and it's going to be easy to quit and not come home. But hopefully what we're teaching them, through band and, just athletics and our activities is about commitment, not giving up. I tell my kids, if you can just learn that from athletics, about not giving up and perseverance, we've been successful. I don't care how many points are on the scoreboard or if you never play another down or, play in the band again. we've been successful. And that's kind of my stance on it, just, from a father.
You're exactly right. And what our kids learn, particularly in the football program, is they're a heck of a lot tougher than what they think they are. They get here and they overcome the fear of work. They overcome their biggest fears, and they realize that there's nothing that I can't accomplish. Right. And that, to me, that's the biggest thing our kids get out of it. Wins and losses, that's going to come and go. But you're going to remember the tough times. You're going to remember getting through the toughest days. We had a period a couple years back, we called it G and Hall, and it was a tough week.
Right.
And we're in the fourth quarter of the state championship ball game, and our kids went back to the G and Hall about how that was important to them. And we're fixing G and Hall. We're tougher than they are. We're fixing to win this ball game, and they brought G and Hall back up, and we run the clock out and win the game.
Yep. But we've got great athletic teams. We've got a great band, and I think one of the causal factors is because we agree on what the general purpose of extracurricular. It's about kids. We got on Friday nights and when we go to band competition, we go out to win, but the lessons we teach our kids are so much bigger than that. And I just know me personally, I didn't really realize that until I became an adult, started connecting the dots like, oh, that's what they were trying to teach me. So anyway, on to the bond. August 14th, we're going to the first slide here. Our Board of Trustees called for a bond election to be held on November 7th. And real quick, we discussed this in part one, but I just want to review the debt impact. It's the first thing we do, or it was the first thing we did when we considered going out for a bond, was to consider our debt to assessed ratio, just to see how much debt we could take on as a district. And you'll see that the current fiscal year, our debt ratio is right at 1.8%. If both Proposition and Proposition A and B pass, our debt to assessed value ratio would climb up to 6.8. And best practice here in the state of Texas is 10%. So we would be well below that. And the tax impact, how much is it going to cost homeowners? If your home is valued at $200,000, that will equal about $10 a year or 83 cents a month. If your house is a little bit more expensive than that, then it would be just a little bit higher than that. And the same if your home is valued at less than $200,000, it would be less than 10. Proposition B, you'll see here we're talking about a $67 million proposition that one would cover our multi-purpose student facility and baseball, softball, soccer, and tennis renovations. Coach, I've mentioned in a lot of my presentations that the last time that we've had major bond expenditures on athletic facilities was in 1988, I believe, right, 35 years ago. And when you walk around our facilities, you sense that. It's been a long time. We've got some aging facilities. Can you expand on just Proposition B?
Well, you're right. In 1988, the Coliseum was built, and it was a showplace of East Texas, and that's been 35 years ago. And of course, Lobo Stadium was built in the 70s, and it's been well kept. But there's renovations we need in both places, as well as upgrades to baseball, softball, soccer, and tennis, and then of course building a new multi-purpose student facility, and that is exactly what it will be. It will serve a multitude of groups. From band, vuettes, cheer, ROTC, middle school development programs, and all of our athletic programs here at the high school. So it'll be well used, and just not during the year, but also during the summer. We have 400 kids a day that show up here in the summer to work out, and we run out of places to put them. And when we get inclement weather, there's really nowhere to go, and we're on top of one another. But it'll be a great facility for all of our programs, middle school to high school. You're talking about impacting over 1,800 kids that are part of our athletic programs, middle school to high school. And, of course, the baseball renovations, we had a record-setting year last year, and we didn't have enough space for our fans to sit in, and looking at new lighting, LED lighting, and new bleachers for the baseball field that was built before the Coliseum. So I don't know how long it's been there, and it hadn't been renovated. And then our soccer field, which there's needs there to address with our stands, our bleacher seating. There's no press box over there for our announcers and clock keepers, and then of course new lighting there as well, because it was built in the mid '90s, and it needs some upgrades there in a big way. And then of course our tennis program. We have nice courts now, but we're one of the top tennis programs in the state of Texas, and we're always competing for district and regional titles, and being able to renovate those courts and give our kids a place to practice and compete when it is rainy weather. And that's a partnership we have with the city of Longview as well. And our tennis courts get a ton of use, and be able to cover at least 4 of those courts would be big for our tennis program.
And something I failed to mention in the introduction is please take time to go to our website. You can go to just Longview ISD home webpage, and you can click on any page. You'll see at the top of the page there's a link that will take you to our bond webpage, and we have several documents we've placed up there with a multitude of details concerning what will specifically go into Proposition B. Ms. Daniels, I think it was the last week in August. I was just curious. I went to the weather website to see what the average high temperature was in August. And at that point in the month, it was 103. That was the average high here in Longview, Texas. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just this summer. Last summer was hot too. And so how has that impacted the band, just the temperature?
Well, I know at one point we got a reader and clocked the temperature on the turf at 125 degrees, and that wasn't on one of the hotter days. That was just maybe like a 99-degree day, so the temperature on the turf is a lot higher, and it does impact us. I mean, when the way we structure our practices, we can't just take a section and do a water break, and a section over here and do another water break. The full band breaks and we go into a water break. And we have to take those more often, and when those happen, productivity stops,
Right.
And so I think that when we're not in a water break and we're working out there in those temperatures, sometimes it's just like, surviving instead of, I think the productivity can be down some just based on that when the temperatures are extreme like that.
Right.
And so it has definitely had an impact on us, and student safety is probably, the first and foremost reason that a new facility would help us, because I'll just be honest, this year we've already been to the hospital with one student. We've had others that have had just heat-related issues on a daily basis there during those very hot days. And so, not to mention lightning and rain, having an indoor facility would make it so we can practice the full band in any weather, whether it be lightning and rain or heat. And so I think that it would have a huge impact on our band.
Practice and so forth. So picture this in your mind. We're in November. The football team's in the playoffs. The band is still in the middle of their marching season. And we start soccer practices, which we have 3 teams for the boys and girls. Okay, now we seed the soccer field with ryegrass, so you can't get on it till it takes. Mm-hmm. So here we are with the football program, the band, 2 soccer teams that have multiple teams on it. Where can we go practice?
Right.
We have 1 turf field. So if it's raining, really there's only 1 field we can get on. That's the turf field. If it's lightning, there's nowhere to go. Mm-hmm. And so we're sitting here with nowhere to go with 4 groups, 4 teams that need to practice and need to perform. And fast forward to the springtime, baseball, softball, track, boys and girls soccer are all involved, and they're in season. Right. There's nowhere to go. Tennis, nowhere to go. And the new facility upgrades we're talking about with the multi-purpose facility and all the upgrades to the current game facilities we have for each sport will be huge for our kids and enable us to practice, compete at a high level year round and not miss days of practice. I mean, if you're going to go take a test in Alsburg, you want to make sure you're in class so you can pass the test. So same thing holds true for practices when you're leading up to a contest. You want to practice so you can go pass the test. And I think it'll be a great addition to what we already have. And we don't make excuses here. I mean, we're going to find a way to get it done. But if we expect the best, then we need to provide the best. And I think that is what we're looking at.
Yep. Absolutely. And I'll tell you another way where this district is very fortunate is to have a band director and athletic director that work so well together. I've heard, out on the streets, that, this is just a football facility. And the way I respond to that is, you don't know John King and Rhonda Daniels and how well they work together. I mean, I don't know. Do you ever have any conflict? I mean, I'm sure there's conflict sometimes, but I mean, it's like like clockwork, the way you're able to share fields and work together. I've been very impressed just with y'all's relationship.
The big thing for us is communication. I mean, whether sharing kids or sharing practice facility or, Lobo Stadium or the turf room, whatever it is we need to share with it. Whether it's athletics band, we work hand in hand with the Vuettes, cheer, everybody. I mean, it's a total program, and that's the only way we survive. So I don't think we've ever butted heads. I'm not going to say we always agreed, but we found a way to come to a mutual understanding.
Right.
Yeah, there's daily, communication at some point when we get really busy in the season. There's, daily calls and texts just about facilities and working all that out. I've had football players in band, freshman JV up to varsity, and they've all shared and done well for both of us, so.
That's right. You got some pretty good ones in middle school too, don't you?
That's right, I do. I do.
Pretty good players. Yeah. Our son's a band student and also a football player. So we got to keep sharing him.
Might be a little bit better French horn player. I'm not sure.
And so I just want to give a picture there. That's our existing indoor facility, and that's our 9th grade band in there. So that facility is not big enough to even put 2 grade levels of our band students in there. And this is a picture of just a proposed facility. That's an indoor facility. That's not our rendering, but I just wanted to give an example of what it potentially could look like.
The thing about that is the drop curtains that would be be able to divide into 3 equal fields of 40 yards of length and full width. I mean, you can have baseball on one end, softball on the other. You can have track in the middle, or you can have divide it however you want to in terms of athletics and tennis, golf. They'll still be able to use that too. They'll be able to hit balls in there as well. So it'd be huge.
I'd like to speak to the current indoor facility that we have. I do think there is a little public perception out there that we have an indoor facility, which we call it the turf room. How many yards is the turf room?
40 yards by 40 yards.
40 yards by 40 yards. I was talking to a band director yesterday that we were talking about the bond, and she asked me, she says, so y'all getting another indoor facility? And so I think that some people think that we do have a full facility, and that facility, you'll see that picture right there, that's our freshman from last year. We were able to work some marching fundamentals. I think the band has probably used that about 3 times in the past 4 years. One time we went into that facility and were able to create the Rockinelle, but then we couldn't move it because we filled up the room. And we definitely can't march our halftime drill and our competition drill. And so it is handy when we're doing a sectional or fundamentals, but that's about it for us. We just haven't been able to use it very much because of the size.
For athletics, it's great for walkthroughs. It's great for off-season workouts. I mean, we do a lot of that. It's mainly what it's used for. It's off-season training that we do with all of our sports, but you can't hold practice in there. Baseball, softball, soccer, football, you can't practice in there. It's not enough room.
And that's really at the heart of why we have proposed such a large facility, the full football size length. Basically, so our band can get in there and compete. I mean, not compete, but practice for competition, and that it truly is a facility for all of our student groups. Now, Coach, you can help me. You're the one that I guess brought this up during last May that, with the 4 propositions we had, if one of them failed and the other one passed, we would have conflict where basically the bond wouldn't work like we had mentioned to voters. And so what we did, well, let me just clarify this. The state law says that in order to, if you want to have a bond election over a swimming facility, it has to be its own proposition. It can't be, it can't tag along with any other activity or building structure that you want to do in a district. So last May, this was Proposition D, and I think what we discussed this time, in order to take, the questions out of it, if B passes and C doesn't, what we decided to do as a district is to pull the swim center out of the election and make a commitment as a district to fund the upgrades to the swim center. It's right at $3.4 million. And so we as a district have just made that commitment internally to pay for that with district funds.
If the indoor facility passes, or when it passes, I'm probably would be positive everything, is to take the current aquatic center and move our athletic offices out of there.
Right.
You got to move the athletic offices out first before you can do any renovations to the swim center that we want to do, not only for swim, but it's for tennis and soccer and baseball and for our officials and for our visiting teams. I mean, currently we don't really have anywhere to dress over there for soccer and baseball or our sports officials. And we can't accommodate our tennis program. Our middle school kids are dressing in the concession stand because we don't have enough locker space. So the plan is to take the athletic office and move it to the new multi-purpose facility and renovate the current aquatic center, create 4 dressing rooms that would be multi-purpose dressing rooms, 2 boys, 2 girls, to accommodate our teams and also accommodate the visiting teams, as well as upgrade the swim deck, the swimming locker rooms, the coach's office, and the whole swim program to upgrade our kids there and our program there, and as well as the green room, which is used for swimming lessons and team meetings and different meetings throughout the year. So we'll have a place to go when it's inclement weather. They can't get in the pool. They have somewhere they can go. They can do their video training and so forth. So, but again, if none of this can take place until we can move the athletic department out of that facility and start the upgrades for the swim center.
Right.
No, I think one of you said it earlier. We expect the best from our kids, and we like to provide the best for them. And I hope that we can do that. We go to a lot of schools that have these facilities already in place, and I'd like to be able to do that for our students.
Coach?
Same here. I mean, I said it when we started. For activities, that's an investment. It's an investment by the kids, their parents, the district, the coaches, and it's an investment in a lot of ways. And we expect the best in Longview ISD, and we need to provide the best. So I think what we've put together is a very feasible plan, and it meets our needs. It's just not wants, it's needs that we have as an athletic program.
And I personally want to thank anybody that is still online listening to this. I don't know if I planned on it being this long of a video, but I'm going to tag on something you said, Ms. Daniels, that the way I put it is good decisions are easy, but great decisions take a different level of commitment, and thought. And I think that's what we're about. I think it's everything we've discussed today is about great decisions. And I just, part of that for our community is to, do your research to, learn more about what we're proposing and the why behind it. And that's really what this video is about, just to talk about the needs within the district. So anyway, I just want to thank you, our participants, for taking time to listen and learn more about the bond. We will have a part 3 coming up. And so stay tuned.